Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here to give you the second movie Monday review of the day. You're not gonna get these very much. I'm still catching up from the 3 weeks I missed, so I'm gonna continue. Um, right now, I'm going to be reviewing White Chicks. This movie came out in 2004. I'm gonna go into more detail about it. I saw this movie when I was 18 years old, just out of high school. I think me and my friend randomly saw it on Netflix one day, and we watched it. Ironically enough, we didn't even watch it in one sit-in. We, took breaks and watch it in multiple sit-ins, which I thought was kind of funny. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened. So I was questioning, because it's been 3.5 years since I've seen this movie, if my perspective on this movie was going to change at all, and it kind of did a little bit, and I'm going to get into that as I go through it more. So this movie was directed by Keenan Ivory Wayans, and it was produced by Rick Alvarez, Lee Mays, Keenan Ivory Wayans, Marlon Wayans, and Sean Maines. And the screenplay was written by Xavier Cook, Andy McAlfresh, and the Michael Anthony Snowden, and the Wayans. And then the story was written by the Wayans. And the music was done by Teddy Castelci. I don't know if that's how you say that or not. And the cinematography was done by Steven Bernstein. It was edited by Jeffrey Stephen Gerson and Stuart Pappy. This was produced by Columbia Pictures, Revolution Studios, Gone North Productions, and it was distributed by Sony Pictures Releasing. This movie came out on June 23rd, 2004, and this movie had a budget of $37 million. And it doesn't really say anything else about this movie. The only thing it says on Wikipedia is that portions of the filming occurred in Chilliwack, British Columbia, including the exterior scenes of the Hamptons, but it really doesn't say anything else about it, so I don't know why they kept the information such a secret. So I'm just gonna get right into this. So the movie starts off at a convenience store, and these guys come in, and obviously these guys look very sketchy. They come in, and the guys that work there are Latina, and they don't speak any English. And the drug dealers come in, and there's pretty much a drug deal about to go down. So they're about to the Latinas are about to pay him the money, and we find out that they were actually undercover FBI cops whose names were Kevin and Marcus Copeland. And we found out they were undercover because they knew this drug deal was going down. They get into a huge fight with all three guys, and they end up laying them out. And they opened up the container of ice cream thinking that there's going to be drugs hidden in it, and we find out that it actually was real ice cream. These were actually the real guys that actually came over, which I actually thought was kind of funny. And then the drug dealers, the people they were supposed to get, actually come in, and the Copelands try to shoot at them, and they end up escaping, and the real ice cream delivery guys run away as well, and both vans take off, and they don't know which one to go after, so the drug dealers get away, and then they meet up with the boss, Chief Elliot Gordon, and Agent Vincent Gomez, and Agent Jake Hopper. And Chief Elliot isn't happy with them. They pretty much tell him that that they pretty much ranks at this place all for not getting the right guys. So he's not happy with them. And as this happened, Marcus's wife calls, which I thought was funny, and he calls his phone as he's getting yelled at, and he says that he's being rammed at by the police, so he's got to go. And then his wife calls Chief Elliott's phone, which I thought was very funny. And yeah, he pretty much gets chewed out by the chief, and Agent Harper and Agent Gomez come up and make fun of him for messing up. And then Marcus comes home, and his wife Lisa wasn't happy because pretty much they really haven't had much a good relationship, because Marcus is always coming home late, and Lisa was suspicious that Marcus is cheating on her, and she feels like that they don't communicate enough. So Lisa tries telling her about her problem, telling Marcus about her problems, and Marcus falls asleep. That was actually pretty funny. And then the Copelands pretty much want in, because there's another case coming up where Chief Elliott was explaining it. Apparently, there's been a pretty much someone that had been locked up for years and was gonna kidnap the Wilson twins, and they had to pretty much make sure that they were gonna go undercover and pretend to be hotel staff, and if anything suspicious happened with the Wilson twins, they would be there to make sure nothing happened, that they don't get kidnapped. But the only problem is one of them has to take them to the Hamptons Inn, which is like a hotel, and then the Copeland brothers want in on the case, so they come in and they get pretty much told to drive the Wilson twins, and Kevin pretty much wants to get do more with the case, actually look into it, but Marcus doesn't want anything to do with it. He just wants to actually make the chief happy and actually get something done right for once. And the Copeland meet up with the Wilson twins, and the Wilson twins pretty much very snobby, and kind of like typical teenage girls, because they pretty much have like an event that they're going to, like it's like a fashion show, and then what happens is they do a funny scene where one of them has a dog. I think it was Tiffany, and Tiffany's dog has to sit in a car seat in front, which is pretty funny. So Marcus gets stuck sitting in the trunk, and as this happens, the Wilson twins are pretty much talking about how they've slept with each other's boyfriends, and are talking about fashion stuff, and Tiffany's dog almost falls out of the car. Kevin saves it, and Kevin ends up driving off the road, and the Wilson twins refuse to go to the fashion show and refuse to leave like the hotel because they ended up getting cuts on their faces. So Marcus is about to tell the chief that the Wilsons about what happened, but Kevin lies to the chief, saying that they're going to have the Wilson twins there soon. So what happens is they get disguised. They have like a bunch of scientists and stuff come in and pretty much make them look like the Wilson twins. I thought this was a pretty good montage that they showed of this, and it had some funny stuff on it. And pretty much they the Copelands decide the disguise themselves as the Wilson twins. And right when they get to the Hamptons Inn, one of the guys, there's guys that are hitting on her, on them, and then they try to yell at them using their voice, but they realize they have to pretend to be the Wilson twins. So all the FBI agents are out there. Agent Gomez comes out pretending to be a bellhop and grabs their bags, and Agent Harper's pretending to work as a manager, and he asks the Wilson twins, or the Copelands, I'm not pretending to be the Wilson twins, for ID, and she because he actually has because Marcus actually has his own. He can't show him that because then that will mess up the whole plan. And they do the Wilson twins did a thing earlier where they pretended to get mad and have a total bitch fit and write an angry letter. So Marcus kind of does the same thing. So Chief Elliot comes out and says that they're gonna pretty much get the room for free, so that way they can stay there. And they pretty much flirt with Chief Elliot, and then there's these three girls that are walking down the lobby, and obviously because the Copelands have never seen these girls before in their lives, they don't know them. So then the three girls get confused and wondering why they don't know them. And they what I liked about this scene was they kind of noticed that there was things different about them, but they didn't make the full connection that they were guys actually. So I thought that was kind of funny. And since the Copelands had never seen these people before, and these people ended up being let me see if I can remember their names. I think it was Megan, Tori, and Heather, but I'm probably way off. So they it wasn't Heather actually. It wasn't Karen. I know that. Tori, I know it was Tori. It's kind of tough to. That's what I'm gonna look up, just because I messed it up. So it's Karen, Tori, and Lisa. Oh wait, then that messes up everything. Marcus's wife, is Gina. My bad. That is my bad. But so, Karen, Tori, and Lisa were the friends. So yeah, that's my bad. Yeah, and they know each other. And yeah, like I said, I thought it was funny. And they go to a party, and Megan Vanderbilt and not Brittany, and her friend, I forget her friend's name. I guess they've been like friends since they were like in second grade. It's kind of crazy that they're still enemies now, and they hate each other, so they kind of do some Yo Mama jokes back and forth that were actually pretty funny. And then Marcus eats hors d'oeuvres. I don't remember what the name of the hors d'oeuvres were, but they have dairy in it, and he's lactose intolerant, so he pretty much takes a shit. And they Kevin spots Denise Porter, who's like a huge journalist, and she works for the news and stuff like that. And she goes up and introduces herself as Brittany, thinking that but kind of acts like he's flirting with her, which I thought was funny. And they reveal that they're gonna go to this big dinner ball. Latrell Spencer comes up and flirts with Marcus, and Marcus pepper sprays him, which I thought was funny. And then this girls are gonna go on a shopping spree just because the Copelands, pretending to be the Wilson twins, don't have anything to wear. They do a funny thing where they play 1,000 Miles for a song, and the Copelands don't know it. So then they play a song that has the N-word in it, and when they start saying it, Lisa, Tori, and Karen all get mad at him, and the Copeland's best response is that nobody is around, so then they start singing it anyways, and then they do the shopping thing, and one pretty much all the girls are self-conscious about the way they look. So one of the girls, every time they try to get more stuff, they think they're too fat. So Kevin continues to get stuff, and Gina ends up calling Marcus, and Marcus is trying to fit into Shirk because he's too big for it, and the attendant helps him, and they think Marcus is struggling to get in, to make it in. And it sounds like that he's making sex noises with the way that it sounds from the phone. So then she hangs up, and she by the time he goes to pick up the phone, she's already hung up. And then he ends up breaking his the outfit because he's just too big for it, because they put like 10 shoes when these are 14. And then they go to the club, and LaTrell Spencer, I didn't even mention who he was. He's like a big NBA player, which is actually which it says right here. And he ends up, they do like a whole auction off where you can auction off a date, and LaTrell buys Marcus, thinking he's Tiffany. And he drives, and Kevin did everything he could to try to make sure that he couldn't get bid, and there was something else that happened there. I don't really remember. And then what happens is Marcus gets the guys are upset that they have to keep doing this, and then then they have a slumber party. The guys and this was kind of a nice scene because the girls kind of revealed that the guy that they do all these things for the guys just to get them to notice them by doing the hair, and the guys don't even notice it, and they just want it for a little bit of attention, and just always all curious where they are. And this kind of was a nice moment for the Copelands, because and especially Marcus, just because of how everything's going with his wife. And these two guys come in thinking they're gonna kidnap him, and Agent Gomez and Harper see it. And I forgot to mention too, Marcus's purse, when they were leaving the store, got stolen, and Marcus's goes right after him and beats the crap out of the guy. It was actually really funny. And Gomez and Harper continue to play this game where Gomez has Harper, who he would rather have sex with, and it's like the most grossest things ever. And Harper answers, and every time Harper tries to ask the same question back, he normally doesn't answer it because they have to go back to work, which I thought was pretty funny. And then Marcus, and then yeah, so I thought that was a nice scene. So then what happens next? Yeah, so the guys come in, Marcus fights them off and beats them up. Well, I don't know really which one it was because I couldn't tell, but one of the Wilson twins fight him off, and we find out that it was actually just male strippers, and they just do that as part of their act. So when Harper and Gomez come in, they find out that's what it was. And then everybody's at the beach, and Heather has one of the guys throw a football at the Wilson setup, and the water goes off, and Marcus is about to act like he's gonna himself and beat the guy up, but then he realizes he has to be himself. And I just realized it was Megan and Heather Van Guild. That's who I realized it was. And Kevin goes and actually acts like himself, and he pretends that he's Latrell Spencer, and flirts with Denise. Porter, acting like he's a famous NBA player, and he's rich, and because she realizes that rich guys she wants to date a rich guy, so he asks her out, and she says yes. Then something else happens next. Marcus threw a football at the guy like wicked hard, which was really funny. And pretty much then they go on separate dates. Marcus has to go out with LaTroy Spencer, since he won on the auction. And Kevin's going to go out with Denise. So Kevin, while Marcus is on the date with LaTroy, uses while he's on his date with Denise, uses LaTroy's house pretending to be LaTroy, and that he owns it. And the date kind of goes a little bit wrong. He can't open the door at first. The housemaid doesn't notice him, and the dog tries to viciously attack him. But he pretends that it's him. When the dog went to attack Kevin, I thought that was awesome. And Marcus tries to make himself unattractive as much as he possibly can, so that way LaTroy will just leave him alone. He tries to play the 10,000 Miles song. He tries to eat a bunch of food to make it look like that Tiffany is a pig. He tries to go for a haynail, trash his NBA skills, and also vote, and none of them work. So I thought both these scenes were pretty funny. And then let's see, then it's at the club, and the Vanderbilt sisters get into a dance off with the Wilson twins' friends, and they lose. So then, the Wilson twins lose, and then the Copelands get into a dance off with them as well. And throughout this film, there's been this guy that one of the Wilson twins' friends have wanted to date. His name is Warren Vander Guild, but pretty much the only reason they haven't dated yet is because one of the Vanderbilts are leaving, so he can't. So that doesn't make any sense. Oh well. So yeah. So then he and pretty much Kevin tells him that pretty much, yeah. And then one of the Wilson's twins' friend reveals that the Vanderbilts are poor. Now this is important because Denise admitted that there was some money that was stashed away. So yeah, and then the agents find out that the Copelands aren't are actually the Wilson twins, so they get fired. His wife comes over, and his wife has found out that he thinks that he's cheated on him because of all the conversations. He bought a dress that he ended up buying for one of the parties, and then he finds him in with Kevin, who's dressed up like one of the Wilson twins. So, Marcus gets pissed at him because he always puts him in these bad situations for him. So Kevin apologizes and says that he always does his best because he wants to be just like him, and he wants him, to step his game up. So they're gonna, they're gonna go over to the fashion show and call for backup, which they end up calling Gomez and Harper because they got fired because the Wilson twins found out that the culprits that someone had been pretending to be them, and Harper and Gomez had also found out, and they think that the Wilson twins are actually them, so they try to take off like their makeup and stuff, but since it was actually them, it was actually the real Finns, and they get fired for, sexual harassment. And then they do the fashion show, and I thought the fashion show scene was really good. The Vanderbilts, we find out, was going to do the kidnapping tonight once they found out the FBI agents were all gone, and one of the kids that the Wilson twins' friends wants to date ends up being a part of it, and when he tries to ask the Wilson twins' friend out, they end up, they end up denying it, and then they do the fashion show. And one scene I really liked was Copeland comes out as the Copelands come out as the Wilson twins and pretend to be them, and they're in the fashion show, and then the Wilson twins themselves actually go into the fashion show, and there's a scene where one of the Copelands and one of the Wilson twins come out, one of each, and I thought that was actually a pretty good scene. And then Heather and her sister try to mess up the Wilson twins fashion show, but then the Wilson twins friends mess it up, and it backfires on them. They get paint smeared all over them, and then the lights go out, and like one of those tiger fins come out and tries to take the Wilson twins, and they get into a shootout. Latrell takes a bullet for Tiffany, thinking that it's for Marcus, thinking that it's Tiffany. Gina attacks Kevin, and then Kevin takes a bullet, saves Denise from a bullet, and Mr. Vanderbilt reveals that he's actually been poor, and he tried to do this kidnapping, and he gets arrested, and everybody gets their jobs back. Marcus and his wife make up because he admits that he never cheated on her, but he has lied to her, and he wants to be a better husband. And Kevin and Denise make up because Denise got mad that he lied to her, and he introduces who he really is, and they make up. And then they go up to her friends, and they do a funny scene where they say they're going to go shopping and stuff. And the Wilson twins' friends reveal that they actually liked him a lot better. And that was kind of the end of the movie. I know this review really wasn't all that great, but whatever. Sometimes that happens. I tried to make this as good as possible, but then I didn't really prepare anything. And I got like one more of these to do, and I'm trying to do it as fast as I can. Overall, I'll just say this about the movie. This movie, I think, is a good movie. It actually is funny. It's not like a great movie, though. There is some humor that, like some of the toilet humor and stuff I don't really care for. But I think the story is actually pretty unique. And I'm not going to read you the reviews. I'll read you a couple of them. I'll go over the cast real quick. Sean Waynes was played by Kevin Copeland, and Mary Waynes was played by Marcus Copeland, so they are actually brothers in real life. They've been in movies together. Marlon Waynes has been in both of the haunted houses. They were both in Little Man together, and they've been in a ton of movies together. Jamie Kinn was Heather Vandergild. Frank Fasten was Chief Elliot Gordon. Agent Jake Harper was played by Lucien Monroe. John Hur was played by Warren Vernigild. Busy Phillips was played by Karen. Terry Crews was played by Latrell Spencer. Brittany Daniel was played by Megan Vandergild. Eddie Felice was played by Agent Vincent Gomez. Jessica Caffel was played by Tori. Madeline Ward was played by Brittany Wilson, and Anne Duquette was played by Tiffany Wilson. Rochelle Aids was played by Denise Porter. Jennifer Carpenter was played by Lisa. Fawn Chambers Watkins was played by Gina Copeland. John Weirden was played by Heath, and Stephen Graham was played by Russ. It's enough of that. Some reviews from this movie. Some people I didn't even write down the overall ratings and stuff. I didn't finish that part, but some people have said overall the movie I'll give it like a 7, but some because I think it's a good movie, nothing fancy. But some people have given it 7s for the same reasons I have. Somebody gave it a 1 because of the racism in it, which is just ridiculous. Because that's the whole point of the joke. So it was from like a 2016 review too, and this movie overall has appealed to people that are 18 years old and stuff. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.